الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يقول الله عز وجل: ونزلنا من السماء ماء مباركا فأنزلنا به جنات وحب الحصر. Stopped on page number 67. Those who have the book, stopped on page number 67. باب حكم الجنوب. The status of the person who had relations with his wife. حكم الجنوب, referring to a person who had relations with his wife. First hadith we have here is عن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت: كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أراد أن ينام وهو جنب غسل فرجه وتوضأ وضوءه للصلاة. رواه الجماعة. Aisha radiallahu anha reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he intended to sleep whilst in the state of janaba, whilst in the state that he had just relations with his wife, after that, generally a person makes ghusl. But if you can't make ghusl at that moment, what's the hukum? So when he wanted to sleep in the state of janaba, the state of impurity, غسل فرجه وتوضأ. He would clean his private parts and then he would make wudu. He would make wudu. Wudu'ahu lis-salah. Just like the wudu of salah. Clean his body parts, clean his hands, clean his arms, clean his face, clean his feet. Okay, so there's no dirt left on the body parts. This was the action of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and this is the sunnah. If a person is too tired, doesn't want to have a ghusl, he had relations with his wife, then after that, the person can go to sleep, but it is ideal for that person to first wash himself clean in his and his private parts and everything that's there, and then after that to perform a wudu before he goes to sleep. Okay, not that the person will come out of, not that wudu will take him out of the state of major ritual impurity. A person must not misunderstand these hadiths. Okay, this is for barakah, for barakah. This hadith is in Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasai, Ibn Majah, and Imam Ahmad's book as well, Musnad of Imam Ahmad. وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنه. These hadiths are very simple, these are straightforward. All the imams, the four imams, all of them agree with these hadiths. There's not much commentary needed here. وعن ابن عمر أن عمر رضي الله عنه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: أيرقد أحدنا وهو جنب؟ قال: نعم إذا توضأ. The son of Umar radiallahu anhu, Abdullah bin Umar, he asked, he's reporting on behalf of Umar radiallahu anhu, his father, the Khalifatu, the Amirul Mu'mineen. Amirul Mu'mineen asked, Ya Rasulullah, should one of us sleep in the state of janaba? Should one of us sleep after having relations with his wife? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam replied, yes, if the person performs wudu. If the person performs wudu. So he's clean. Before he sleeps, he's clean. At least he's clean to a minor extent. Maybe not to the major extent, but to a minor extent, he's clean. Rawahul Jama'ah, he reported it, again, Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, and Musnad Imam Ahmad. His hadith is authenticated to the highest degree. Okay? وعن عمار بن ياسر رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رخص للجنب إذا أراد أن يأكل أو يشرب أو ينام أو يتوضأ وضوءه للصلاة. Imagine, look at the details of the exact level of preciseness of how much we know about Rasulullah. Every single minute thing of what to do, how to do, what he did and how he done is recorded in our hadith literature with authentication. Subhanallah. Anyway, so Ammar ibn Yasir, everyone knows Ammar ibn Yasir. His mother was the first martyr in Islam. First martyr in Islam was a woman. Wasn't a man, was a woman, Sumayya. Her name was Sumayya. And his father's name was Yasir. He also got tortured and he got killed as well. He was the second. Okay? So this is the status of women in Islam. Those who try to discredit their mothers, discredit their sisters, discredit their daughters, this is their status of Islam. A woman is the one who gave her life over to be killed in the path of Allah. Mushrikeen, they killed her in Makkah. She was the first one to be killed as Shaheed or Shaheeda. Yeah? وعن عمار بن ياسر, he reports that Rasulullah, the son reports, yeah? The son lived afterwards. أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رخص للجنوب, he gave a concession. He gave a concession, gave a dispensation for the person who's in major ritual impurity. If he wants to eat or drink, so after he had relations with his wife, he wants to eat or drink, what must he do? He must, or he wants to go to sleep, he must perform wudu just like the wudu of salah. Okay? Why? Because this purifies himself, purifies his hands, purifies his face. He comes out of the state that he was in. Maybe he was sweating, maybe he was feeling greasy, whatever. All the impurity he wipes off, he cleans off properly, and then he eats or he drinks or he sleeps. He wishes. And this is again allowed in Ramadan as well. Okay, this is allowed in Ramadan as well. You don't have to enter into the state of fasting in a state of ritual purity. Okay, that's not a condition. It's not like salah. It's not like salah. So for example, Sehri time, the person had relations with his wife, and then he had Sehri, and then the adhan took place of Fajr, completely fine. Completely fine. He needs to purify himself, he needs to bathe himself, he needs to make a ghusl, a shower. He needs to shower, and then after that, he is pure and he can pray his Fajr Salah. Okay? But that doesn't mean his fasting is not complete, or is incomplete, or his fasting is deficient in some way, or there's a shortcoming in his fasting. No, it doesn't affect the fasting. Fasting, the condition of fasting is not purity. The condition for salah is purity. Condition for fasting is not purity. Okay? That's something that a lot of people, they don't know, and they advise their daughters and their sons that are newly married, that are very young, that are 20, 21, 19, and the mothers are very strict with this because they're from back home. A lot of our mothers from Bangladesh, they don't know this masala. They think, oh no, you have to immediately do ghusl, and if you haven't done your ghusl, then you know, your fasting is not going to be done. The huge misconception. Before the end time of Fajr, they have to make a ghusl, which is not true. Okay? This is not true. This is very clear in Hadith. It is not true. Okay? Ideally, I mean, the best thing to do at that moment, yes, if you have the time, make ghusl. If you have the time, make ghusl. They still have to pray Fajr, yes. They still have to pray Fajr. Yes, 100%. End time of Sehri. Yeah. But they can enter, the point is they can enter the fast. The fast enters the moment the adhan takes place. Well, our adhan takes place, generally speaking, when Sehri ends. So they can enter the fasting in the state of impurity. Okay? They don't need to have had ghusl before the start of fasting. This hadith is in Ahmad, Musnad Imam Ahmad, Sunan al-Tirmidhi, and Imam al-Tirmidhi grades it Sahih, or Hasan Sahih at least. Again, he makes a very important point here in the commentary, that there's a consensus of all the ulama that it is not necessary to make wudu after having sexual relations with your wife. It is not absolutely necessary. It is not fard. It is not wajib to make that wudu. Okay? Because if you decide not to make ghusl, it is not wajib for you to make wudu. Wudu is only out of recommendation, out of what the sunnah of Rasulullah was. Okay? Not wajib for you to make wudu. And we spoke last week that after ghusl, you're not required to make wudu, because inside the ghusl is wudu. You have already washed all the limbs of wudu in the major ritual impurity. When cleaning, when having a shower, you have already cleaned all the parts of wudu. So why do you need to make wudu again? That's ideal. Ideal scenario is you make wudu inside the ghusl. Before you start the ghusl, you make wudu and then you make ghusl. But if you don't do that, you just have a shower, you performed your istinshaq and madmada, clean your nose and you clean your mouth. Alhamdulillah, your ghusl is done, therefore your wudu is done also. You don't have to repeat. Like in the Shafi madhab, you have to repeat. After ghusl, you must make wudu again. Then you can only perform salah. Because wudu they take as a separate ibadah. We say it's something that leads to ibadah. Something that allows you to do an ibadah. You understand? It's big. There's a big difference between their usul and our usul. So, we don't say wudu is an ibadah in and of itself. Wudu is not an ibadah in and of itself. It's something that allows you to do ibadah. It's a means of ibadah. You understand? You perform wudu, then only can you perform salah. And likewise, then only can you perform tawaf. You're in Makkah.
You say the precondition.
Yeah, it's like a precondition. Like a precondition. Well, it's a precondition of salah. It's a shurut of salah. وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أراد أن ينام وهو جنب توضأ وإذا أراد أن يأكل أو يشرب قالت غسل يديه ثم يأكل أو يشرب رواه النسائي وإسناده صحيح. Aisha radiallahu anha says the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he intended to sleep in the state of janaba, in the state of major ritual impurity, he would perform wudu. And when he wanted to eat or drink, what did he do? He would wash his hands. He would wash his hands. ثُمَّ يَأْكُلُ وَيَشْرَبُ. Then he would eat or drink. Because that way you know that your hands are definitely clean. This hadith is in Nasa'i and the isnad is sahih. Here, the only person that inside this chain is Sawad ibn Nasr. And Ibn Hajar, he says that he is trustworthy, he is thiqa in his Taqrib al-Tahdhib. Taqrib al-Tahdhib is a book which gives you like the one-line summary for each and every single narrator. So it's like the last verdict of Ibn Hajar on each and every single narrator of the hadith. No. This is in all 6 books. All 6 books. So all the narrators in Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, all 6 books, all the narrators that exist in the 6 books are inside Taqrib al-Tahdhib. There's a couple of them. There's a couple of the books. This is like one of the most summarized books. It's in 1 volume, abridged version. Sheikh Muhammad Awama, he has his tahqiq at the bottom. I've got this, it's quite a big volume. It's like a dictionary. But it's like a dictionary of all the narrators that are inside those 6 books. And it's like a verdict of Ibn Hajar, one-line verdict, literally one-line verdict. Whether he's reliable, not reliable. Simple. Okay? More or less, reliable, not reliable. If he needs to mention the kunya, he'll mention the kunya. If he's more known with the any other name, then he'll mention any other names of that person, of that narrator. Essentially, that's the go-to for beginners, students of knowledge in hadith. That's the go-to, because that's the easiest way that you can know whether that narrator is a reliable narrator or unreliable narrator. He is known or unknown to the scholars of hadith. So that's one of the best books as a beginner to train yourself. But of course, later on, Sheikh Awama's comments are extremely necessary for the beginner students, because some of those narrators, he didn't do justice to them. Although Ibn Hajar is Ibn Hajar, he's a human. End of the day, he's a human being, and there is going to be sometimes he's a bit too strict, sometimes he's a bit too lenient on the narrators. So therefore, Sheikh Awama, he has extra notes, footnotes, and those footnotes help that student extremely on grading that narrator, grading that hadith. So Sawad ibn Nasr, here Ibn Hajar in Taqrib al-Tahdhib, he says he is trustworthy. He's thiqa. In Arabic, the word is thiqa. Thiqa means reliable. He's strong in memorization. وعنها قالت, here again, Aisha radiallahu anha reports, إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا أراد أن يطعم وهو جنب غسل يديه ثم يطعم. Again, here in the state of junub, when Rasulullah was in the state of junub, if he wanted to eat, he would wash his hands before he ate. So he's teaching us basic, simple mannerisms of before eating, you must wash your hand. Before eating, you must wash your hand. In the chapter where it comes on the adab of eating, the manners and etiquettes of eating, I remember one of the sheikhs here is acclaimed for hadith. I'm not going to name you who it is. Okay, he's a very well acclaimed sheikh in hadith. Teaches everywhere, especially in Oxford. Okay, those who know him know. He once, I remember saying, regarding the hadith that says that we make wudu before eating and we make wudu after eating. He said it is a da'if hadith. It is a da'if hadith. Maybe according to the sanad, it is da'if. But is it ma'mul bihi? That's the question. The question is not, is it da'if? Just because it is da'if doesn't mean it's rejected. You understand? Did all the ulama, did they practice upon that? Everyone practiced upon that. Go to any single book of adab. Any single book of adab of eating, they will tell you, you must wash your hand before eating. This is one of the adab. They don't say it's sunnah. Sunnah is something else. So adab is like on the level of mustahab. On the level of mustahab. That's why there's distinctions. You need to, as a student of knowledge, you need to know the distinctions why an alim says it's sunnah or why an alim says it's mustahab. Mustahab is of a lower category because the evidence is not as strong to prove it to say that it is sunnah. We say in general, we say loosely, it is sunnah to wash your hands before eating. Okay? It's fine. Sunnah, mustahab, very recommended, something that's recommended, desirable, is similar to what is sunnah. But we use it loosely. Whereas the actual hukum of washing the hands before eating, in general, I'm not talking about in janaba, in the state of janaba, in general, is mustahab. Mustahab, recommended. Whereas these hadiths only support that hadith. So that hadith is not by itself. Al-wudu here refers to washing of the hands. Okay? There might be some literalist. He finds the hadith on the chapter of adab, of mannerisms, and he says you must do wudu before eating and you must do wudu after eating. That hadith came on the literal meaning. It didn't come on the literal meaning. It came on the figurative meaning washing. That wudu means washing. Washing the hands, washing the face if you're required to, washing the feet if you're required to, then you wash it. That's fine. But in that hadith, it requires to specifically washing the hands only. Okay? Only hands only. So before eating, you wash your hands. After eating, you wash your hands. Al-wudu'u qabla ta'am wa ba'da ta'am. Okay? So there are many people that take things literally. Unfortunately, what are they going to do with those hadiths? Take them literally? Then go on, bismillah. You get more tawaf. Before wudu, before eating, and before wudu, after eating as well. Allahu Akbar. So literalism is a big disease. Literalism is a big disease. Big disease. This, I tell people again and again, this Quran and Hadith was not revealed to 5-year-olds. It wasn't revealed to 2-year-olds. It wasn't revealed to 6-year-olds. It was revealed to men that were aged 40. Rasulullah was 40-year-old. Abu Bakr was 38-year-olds. Okay? This book was revealed to men, not to people that don't understand speech. Okay? Speech must be understood in its correct context. Right. The next hadith is very okay. This hadith, then he would eat. After washing his hand, he would eat. So this hadith is only gain more strength to the hadith to do with eating. Before eating, you must wash your hands. Of course, if you know for sure that there's no najasa on your hand in any way or form, and you're very certain, then you don't need to wash your hands. You don't need to wash your hands. It's only mustahab to do it. You must understand it, that you mustn't go to other extremes and like make everyone like, oh, you must wash, otherwise you're doing something sinful or something. No, not doing something sinful. The hands are washed. You can eat. For example, you're inside your car, you stop by a PFC, bought some PFC. Where are you going to find a place to go and wash your hands? You understand? And your hands are washed. You know your hands are washed. Or you've got wipes inside your car. Wipe it with the wipes and eat. No problem. So, not to go to any extreme. Okay? That's the main part of this. Understand the reasoning, don't go to too much extreme. رواه ابن خزيمة وإسناده صحيح. The next hadith, so this hadith is in Sahih of Ibn Khuzaymah. The isnad is Sahih. Ali ibn Khashram is one of the narrators of this hadith, and he is someone who is a narrator of Muslim, narrator of Nasa'i, narrator of Tirmidhi. And Ibn Hajar himself says he is trustworthy. He is thiqa in Taqrib al-Tahdhib. That book came again, isn't it? Okay? Remember that book, Taqrib al-Tahdhib. Very important book for any student of knowledge. وعن علي رضي الله تعالى عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا تدخل الملائكة بيتا فيه سورة ولا كلب ولا جنب رواه أبو داود والنسائي وإسناده حسن. Now this hadith seems to contradict the hadith before it. What does the hadith say? Ali radiallahu anhu reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, no angel, here referring to no angel of mercy. Because angels are always around you. Angels are always around you, whether you like it or not. Kiraman katibin, are they there or not? Do they disappear? Don't disappear. They're with you all the time, every time. Okay? So here he's referring to the angels of mercy. Angels which shower you with mercy. Angels of mercy do not come to a house in which there is pictures. That's why our dads used to be very strict when it came to displaying family pictures inside the living room wall. Okay? This is not referring specifically to pictures. This is referring to more like sculptures, statues, sketches. Anyone who's a master artist, this is and that is drawn something that has life. So animals, humans, fish, anything that has life. Bees, fishes, dogs, cats, lions, elephants, anything. Anything which has life, and he draws such a picture, he sketches out such a picture, this is referring to that. It can possibly, many of the ulama are of the opinion, it includes photos as well, photos. That's why photos of yourself and your family mustn't be hanged on big frames in your living rooms or your kitchen, or even in the bedrooms. You know, like for example, some children, I've seen this in Muslim houses, unfortunately, that they have huge posters of Batman and Spider-Man and Iron Man and all those other American, all those different characters that they look up to. Okay, unfortunately, they've been inbred with these things from a young age. Now, you tell them not to do it, they become more arrogant, okay, because of the ignorance. But as parents, we must make sure from the beginning that they understand this not to be a part of our. Otherwise, for example, a person would take it very lightly for a person to draw Rasulullah, for example, or draw any other Anbiya, not just Rasulullah. We get angry when a person starts drawing, well, supposedly starts taking the mick out of Rasulullah on a caricature. Yeah. Whereas this same thing applies to all the Anbiya, applies to all the prophets, not just our prophet. Jesus, Isa alayhi salam is our prophet. Musa alayhi salam is our prophet, he's not their prophet. They're not following Musa alayhi salam. We're following Musa alayhi salam. We're following Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam, when he comes back, who is he going to follow? He's going to follow the teachings of Rasulullah. We're going to follow him if he were to come down today, isn't it? So they are our prophets. But if they are mocked, then automatically a person's Islam is either nullified or either is extremely sinful, depending on the statement that he made against Anbiya. Anbiya are the selected ones of Allah on earth. Okay? So a person must be very careful in anything negative that he says to Anbiya or Sahaba. These are our best of the best. Anyone that pricks a finger onto them, automatically you know this person's a deviant. He can be the sheikh of the sheikh in the world. He can be the sheikh of East London Mosque. He can be the sheikh of Regent's Park Mosque. It doesn't matter. He can be the sheikh of Makkah Mukarramah. It doesn't matter. His whole life's effort reciting in the Kaaba for 50, 60, 100 years will not be the same of a Sahabi. Because he had one glance of Rasulullah. Imagine one glance of Rasulullah. The person didn't even learn anything. He just saw him from far away in Hajjatul Wada. He is more superior than the whole world. He is more superior than the whole world, including all the pious and including all the scholars, including us and including the students of knowledge and everyone combined. You cannot go to the rank of a Sahabi. Therefore, you cannot accuse the Sahabi of this and that, and you cannot accuse any Anbiya of this and that. If a person does so, his Iman is at stake, okay, depending on the claim that he makes against them. لا تدخل الملائكة بيتا فيه سورة. So any picture inside the house, any statue, for example, nowadays it's becoming a culture now that they have these small statues of different souvenirs. Yes, souvenirs. That's what it is. This is something that you must stay away from. As long as it's something like a pot or a plate that's fine. It's completely fine. But to bring pictures of living beings or sort of living beings, against our deen, it is against our deen. You shouldn't even keep these. For example, dolls. Dolls are something which are ma'fu anhu, because they're children. They're children, but ideally at the time of prayer, you should take it away from the prayer area. Same, if a person has, for example, the sign of a tiger, like Slazenger, or, crocodile, whatever, polo, they have horses, different things, Ferrari, they have different, but it's so small and they don't have eyes. It's insignificant. It's as if it's not there. That should be completely fine. It doesn't disregard your salah. It doesn't make your salah makruh. Okay, it doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have anything. It's so small. It's as if it's not there. Okay, some murabbis, they make it a big issue. Some murabbis, they make this a big issue. This is not a big issue unless it's a fully, it's an exactly full made, like it's a proper human, like a proper anime star or something that they have inside their heads. Then in that case, of course, salah in that way. And if a person has a small thing under his socks, a small picture of something, then it doesn't nullify his salah anyway. He's not respecting that thing. He's degrading that thing. He's wearing it under his feet. The point where the prohibition came was because they respected these things. They made them into idols. They made them into worshipping things. Okay, whereas this person is not respecting it. He is actually degrading it by putting it under his feet. Okay, so a person must not overthink these matters. Okay, sometimes a person wants to become too pious. Too much piety sometimes leads to, extremes. Yes, this should be avoided. Wala kalbun, no a dog inside the house. So this is something very clearly prohibited in our Sharia. Very clearly prohibited in our Sharia. That a dog cannot stay inside the house, no matter how much your children want a dog. It is not allowed. Bring them a cat. Make them Abu Huraira. Make them lovers of cats. Bring them kittens. Don't ever bring dogs home. This is not my statement. This is the statement of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But some people, their minds and their hearts are different because they can't relate to Rasulullah. Speak to farmers that are English farmers. English farmer woman next to my father-in-law's farm. She herself wouldn't allow her dogs inside the house. She's like, these creatures are filthy. A woman, an English woman, she doesn't have any faith or anything. She wouldn't allow her dogs inside because she knows it's filthy. An English woman has to tell us why a dog is filthy. Imagine, we've come to that extent. Unfortunately, this is the times that we live in. That when an English lady says it, we listen to them. Whereas when Rasulullah says, we don't listen. Isn't it? This is the case. Pets are allowed, those which are halal pets are allowed, you know, like cats allowed, birds probably allowed, okay? Small sparrows and pigeons and stuff like that. If you keep it, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Quails, you slaughter it and eat it, it's fine. Okay, as long as you're allowed legally. In this country, legally is problematic. But the point is, a person must never allow a dog inside the house. Dog cannot be kept as a pet. If it is, like I told you before, if it is allowed, for example, as a guide dog, a person who's blind, he wants to use it as a guide dog and he hasn't got anyone else to help him, it's fine. That's his security guard. That's his thing that he needs. That's his necessity of life. Same thing with a farm dog, shepherd dog. He needs that dog. Without that dog, the only problem is sometimes it comes in, licks you. It comes and licks you, then of course you have to change your clothes and you have to wash your clothes. It licks your body, you're gonna have to wash your body. So you're gonna be in issues, even on the farm. So in that case, a person needs to be very wary, even having dogs, because of his purity. Because the main reason why it's prohibited, because of purity. You can't keep your purity up with the dog because a dog automatically comes and licks you. And the problem is with its saliva. The problem is with its saliva. Because dogs don't sweat. I think most of us know that dogs don't sweat. It's the saliva that's problematic. For example, can you pet a dog? Technically, you can. Technically speaking, you can pet a dog as long as it doesn't have impurities on its fur. And it's not wet, it's not raining or something. And it's completely fine. Generally, it's completely fine. But ideally, we are disgusted by dogs because we know they are najis. So therefore, stay away. And we teach our children from a young age to stay away. Otherwise, they're going to start loving dogs and they're going to start wanting one. And then we're going to become in more issues where the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the malaika of rahmah will not enter our homes. Wala junubun. Nor a person who is in the state of janaba. This is regarding a person in janaba who is intentionally staying in the state of janaba, missing salah. Now you're going to tell me, Ustad, where did you get this out from now? If you read all the hadith on the chapter, this is what the conclusion will be. This is the commentary of the hadith. Okay, you have to understand hadith in totality. So a person who remains in the state of janaba to the extent where he misses the fard, missing something fard is major, the major sin. So therefore, if a person misses his salah, then in that case, the malaika of rahmah will not enter upon that house. Why? Because you're continuously staying in the state of impurity intentionally. You choose to not to stay. You choose to stay in the state of impurity. Okay? So make sure you must, after being in the state of junub, make sure to pray your salahs. Make sure you make your ghusl and pray your salahs. Otherwise, again, the malaika of rahmah, they prefer not to go into places where it is impure. Okay? Where there is impurity. Like for example, malaika of rahmah, do they enter the toilets? They don't. We know. Okay? That's very clear. Rawahu Abu Dawud wa Nasa'i wa isnaduhu hasanun. Hadith is in Abu Dawud, Nasa'i, and the isnad is sound. The narration is sound. Next hadith we have وعنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقرئنا القرآن ما لم يكن جنوبا. Yeah, on the authority of Ali رضي الله عنه as well, Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم would teach us Quran as long as he was not junub, as long as he didn't have sexual relations with his wife, or in the state of janaba. The state of janaba means, again, wet dream is included. We spoke about this last week. Janaba means, for example, a wet dream. You had a wet dream, you woke up, you found something sticky on your clothes or your private parts, then you are in the state of janaba. You must make ghusl. You can't just go to work. Okay? You must make ghusl. Same thing if you had relations with your wife. In that case as well, it necessitates ghusl. And we went through all those hadith which tell you that if you're in the state of janaba, you must perform ghusl. This hadith is in Abu Dawud, Nasa'i, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, and Ahmad. Imam at-Tirmidhi said is sahih. He said it is, Imam Tirmidhi regarded it as good, and Ibn Hibban and other scholars regarded it as Sahih. There's a couple of notes there at the bottom. Imam Tirmidhi said Hasan Sahih. There it is, Hasan Sahih. Abdullah ibn Yahya, who is found in one of the chains. Az-Zailai, one of the great Hanafi scholars, he spoke something about him. Whereas Imam al-Hakim, he said no, he is one of the trustworthy Kufats, one of the trustworthy narrators that were based in Kufa, in Baghdad. Imam al-Nasa'i also said he is trustworthy, as is mentioned in Tahdhib al-Kamal by al-Mizzi. Tahdhib al-Kamal by al-Mizzi, you know how big this work is? 35 volumes. 35 volumes. Huge work. It's an encyclopedia. It's one of the best. On Ilm al-Rijal, of the 6 books, all the narrators of the 6 books, the most detailed biography work is this one, Tahdhib al-Kamal of al-Mizzi. One of the most reliable ones. One of the most reliable books is this book, Tahdhib al-Kamal. We only saw it inside the library. We only touched it a couple of times. We're not masters of the field of hadith and the narrators of hadith, but we are students. So, but those who have depth inside this knowledge will definitely have to use that book on a daily basis in order for you to search up the narration and the authenticity of every single narrator. Pages upon pages. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. When you see those books, like Tahdhib al-Kamal, think like, how did they get that much information about every single person? What degree of scrutiny that they had to criticize every single person for you to know his father, his grandfather, where he goes, how he stays, how he eats, how he walks, how does he go to the masjid, does he pray, does he neglect his wife? Everything is recorded inside these books. Everything, like the A to Z of a person's biography is inside there. It's extremely rare that there's a narrator of the 6 books of hadith that is majhul. Majhul meaning unknown. Nobody knows anything about the guy. Very rare, extremely rare, that there's a narrator which is majhul. There is a couple of them, but it's extremely less. Very small amount. Extremely small amount. Majority of the narrators that narrated even one hadith, one single hadith that they said, Qala Qala Rasulullah, automatically they got scrutinized. Automatically the biography had to be written down. Automatically all the hadith scholars, they had to go to him and say, who are you? What are you doing? Where did you get this hadith from? Who else got the hadith from you? From that sheikh also. You know, who are the students that you go and sit with? Who are the students that sit with you to take from that sheikh? Where did that sheikh get his ijazah from? You understand? It's a complete process. And then scrutiny upon his life as well. And they would get it from his sons, from his wife, from anyone that they can get information from of him, they would scrutinize him. Because he narrates a hadith. That's how important the hadith, one hadith was. Anyone that narrates one hadith. Mizzi. Hafidh al-Mizzi. Last 2 hadiths inshallah and we'll end of there. وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إني لا أحل المسجد لحائض ولا جنب رواه أبو داود وآخرون وصححه ابن خزيمة. This hadith is extremely important. Why? Aisha, the narrator is Aisha radiallahu anha. She's the most knowledgeable amongst the women folk of those narrators that narrated from Rasulullah. Number 2, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إني لا أحل المسجد لحائض. I do not make it halal. I do not allow women to go to the masjid in the state of when they're in their menstrual cycle. In menstruation, they are not allowed to enter the masjid. This is extremely important. Many women, they don't know about this at all. Okay? They think they can enter the masjid. Or they think they can enter parts of the masjid. Parts of the masjid which is not considered the masjid hall, whether downstairs or upstairs, they are allowed to enter. So like for example, the communal areas, the reception areas, the wudu areas, something that is detached outside of the masjid hall, anywhere where the main prayer is, where it's designated, like for example, the carpets here are for the prayer carpets. Anywhere where the prayer carpets are, they would not be able to generally go inside those areas. That's why it's ideal that the masjid, any masjid that's built, they build a separate reception room just for them. So when they need to come and collect their children, for example, after maktab or something, they can collect them from that specific area, and they don't have to go inside the masjid to go and bring their children out or something. So here it's detached here. Here in our masjid, for example, the ladies area there, they have a good amount of area inside the reception area next to the stairs. That would be ideal, yeah. This is definitely an ideal. This is something which the masjid committees, they need to think about this when they're building a masjid, because a lot of these ahkam are being neglected, and then women end up coming inside the masjid, and then, or not just that, they try to make excuses and justify themselves that, oh, this sheikh said it's allowed. Whether that sheikh said it or not, the hadith is against you. The sahih hadith is against you. Now this hadith, there is some kalam. Imam al-Zayla'i says it is hasan. We'll go through this inshallah. Inni la uhillu al-masjid li ha'idin wa la junubin. No, a person in the state of janaba. That we know for a man. For a woman as well, in the state of janaba, she's not allowed. In the state of ha'id, she's also not allowed. Because many of the women, they make an excuse and they say that this hadith, the ulama that make the hukum of this hadith, that a ha'id, woman in menstruation is not allowed to go to the masjid, they say that the ulama use qiyas, not hadith. They say they're using qiyas of a person in janaba. A person in janaba, everyone agrees, all the four imams agree, are not allowed to go into the masjid. Likewise, here as well, a person in ha'id, she's also not allowed to go inside. And most of them agree, except for example, Imam Malik and some others, they say she's allowed to pass by through if she needs to pass through. Like if there's no other way but to pass through the masjid, then she has to pass through the masjid basically. But ideally, as long as she knows that she's not gonna spoil the masjid. But here very clearly we find the clear Sahih Hadith by Ibn Khuzaymah, by Abu Dawood, and is classified as Sahih. Look at Imam Zayla'i, he says it is Hasan in his Nasbur Raya. Nasbur Raya is the hadiths that he sourced of Hidayah, Kitab al-Hidayah, the Hanafi manual, the great manual of Hanafi fiqh. So he sourced all the hadiths of Kitab al-Hidayah as evidences. He says it is Hasan. Talkhis of Abu Zur'a, he narrates through the narration of Jasra from Aisha radiallahu anha, which is Sahih. So there's another narration which is Sahih. And then Ibn Hajar also mentioned, and Ibn Khuzaymah and Ibn Qattan. So Ibn Hajar mentioned that Ibn Khuzaymah as well as Ibn Qattan. Ibn Qattan is from the teachers of Bukhari. They said it is Hasan. So anyone that says that this hadith is not, even Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, there is nothing wrong with it. This is the opinion of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, that he says this hadith, there is nothing wrong with it. Meaning it's Hasan, it's acceptable and it's good, practiced upon. Even the hadith itself is authenticated by Ibn Qattan, Ibn Khuzaymah, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, Imam al-Zayla'i, and Ibn Hajar himself. Of course, any Hasan hadith is accepted in fiqh. Even Hasan li ghayrihi is accepted in fiqh. Even Da'if, I said, sometimes is accepted in mustahabbat. Like we said, adab. In adab, Da'if is accepted in adab as well. Okay? So, this is definitely acceptable. So, the ulama did not, to make it very clear, the ulama did not make qiyas of the hadith. Qiyas is analogy. They didn't do analogy of the person who is in major ritual impurity to the woman who's in menstruation. This is from clear nas, clear explicit text of hadith. Next hadith, the last hadith inshallah. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال لقيني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنا جنوب. Rasulullah met me whilst I was in the junub state, whilst I was in major ritual impurity. فأخذ بيدي, he took me by my hand. فمشيت معه حتى قعد. So this is Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. This is Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Rasulullah took him by his hand whilst he meaning Abu Huraira was in the state of janaba. He walked until he sat down. فَانْسَلَلْتُ فَأَتَيْتُ الرَّحَلِ. I slipped away and went home. فَاغْتَسَلْتُ ثُمَّ جِئْتُ. Then I made a ghusl, quick ghusl, and I came back whilst he was still seated. فقال أين كنت يا أبا هريرة? Where did you go, O Abu Huraira? فقلت له فقال سبحان الله إن المؤمن لا ينجس. Then he replied, Rasulullah replied, that a mu'min, a believer, does not become impure. This is regarding the literal sense. The literal sense that he doesn't become impure, meaning just because you're in the state of impurity, which is the shar'i state. That's why we find najasa hukmi and najasa haqiqi. So najasa haqiqi is actual najasa on your body, for example, urine, or najasa hukmi is something which you can't see. For example, a person, he let some wind out, he farted basically. He farted, then this is najasa hukmi. So hukman, according to Sharia, he's broken his wudu. He's not pure anymore. But that doesn't mean his body is impure. The same thing with najasa, even in when semen comes out, a person doesn't become impure physically. Okay, it's not haqiqi. Okay, that's what Rasulullah intended by saying innal mu'mina la yanjus. Okay, he does not become najis. He does not become impure. He does not become impure. And this hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim. Whereas, of course, we know this hadith cannot mean that the mu'min doesn't become, in the state of janaba. Because he does become in the state of janaba. So, that's referring to najasa shar'i, najasa hukmi. Whereas this is najasa haqiqi. Najasa haqiqi, a mu'min, he cannot be in the state of najasa haqiqiyah because he will always remove the najasa. There we end, inshallah. This hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim, so there's no doubt about this. Continue, inshallah, next week with Babul Hayd, the chapter on menstrual periods. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu. Yes. I thought I would miss it. Easy.
Ready.